Hi everybody, this is Diane with DTC Southwest Designs, and today I'm going to teach you in this video how to make this beautiful, elegant, wire-wrapped adjustable ring. It's awfully elegant and it's awfully fun, and I have to say at most of my shows this is a really popular ring, and it can be fun for you if you're just a beginner, or if you're an experienced wire weaver, you can follow me. Here you can make it also, I want to show you, you can make it in different wire colors like gold or copper. Here's a nice patinaed copper. This is a square wire with half round wire wrapping instead of the weaving pattern. And then the last one, I'm in the Southwest, so people love turquoise, so I added a couple little beads. So you can modify this and use whatever metal you would like, or beads, add beads to it and that sort of thing. Let's go ahead and get started. And first off, let me show you what you'll need to make this ring. You'll need a couple of needle nose pliers. You have the round and the flat. You'll need some cutters as well. And I typically have a little file to file the ends to make sure that they are smooth and they don't catch on anything. You might notice that I have my needle nose are wrapped with masking tape, and I picked this up tip up from a woman in Australia, and she puts masking tape on her needle nose pliers, round and flat, to avoid marring or denting the wire. And it really is kind of a nice little tool. And the wire you'll need is, you can use a number of different kinds of wire. I use para-wire, and you'll need 20 gauge para-wire or 20 gauge wire, and you'll need also 26 gauge wire. So if you're just a beginner and you're just starting out, I would say you can go to Michael's or Joann's and get your 20 gauge and 26 gauge wire there. Okay, so let's get started. You'll need 6.5 inches of 20 gauge wire. So I've already cut these, and 2 pieces of 26 gauge wire that are about 6.5 inches. There we go. And when you cut your wire, for those of you that are beginners, you're going to notice that you're going to have a flat edge right there, and kind of your wire cutters are going to have sort of this flat edge and then sort of an angled edge. So you'll notice that I've already clipped this edge off. I would go through and double check and just make sure that each side I've made sure that it's, okay, I'm trying to get in focus here. The pliers, tweezers are getting in the way. So you'll see you have a little bit of a point that's created by this side edge. So I just go back and make sure I nip that little edge off so it's flat. And then I take my file and just make sure that each of the sides are kind of filed flat so that it doesn't catch and it's kind of a smooth edge there. I know that there are some tools, and I have a tool myself that files the end of that, and you're welcome to use that if you'd like. I particularly like just some regular just regular file there, so that it files pretty much more efficiently than the little tool that's made for that. And I would file both of those ends, and let's get started. Okay, there you go. Now, first off, what I would do is take take your 20 gauge wire. Now you need 6.5 inches of your 20 gauge wire, and your 26 gauge wire, I would say just leave it on the spool. That's what I tend to do, because then you don't have to cut it and then waste wire if you end up with a shorter. So start, your first weave is going to be a simple coil. And so you can just manipulate that with your fingers, and you'll have a little bit of an edge there. And you can start, I'm gonna flip that around. You can start with just coiling around your 26 gauge around your 20 gauge base wire. And you're gonna create a coil. Now I'm holding it fairly tightly on this end, and you can let it stick out a little bit more because you're gonna flatten that edge, that wire into the edge. So you're going to start like this, and I would say keep going. Let me get in here and flatten this. Make sure the coil is tightly woven, and not sure why I'm having here we go. So we see the wire sticking out there. You want to make sure. Okay, let me try to get you a little bit closer here. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing with that wire. Okay, now I'll take my flat needle nose pliers, and I'm holding it firmly. The coil, I've got a little bit on there. I'm holding it kind of firmly, and I want to make sure that I make that kind of snug, and I'm kind of squeezing it all the way around as I go. Now it's still sticking out just a bit there, so you want to make sure that that end is flattened down and it's not going to catch on things. Now you can still see it's a bit loose, and that's okay, but you might want to add a few more loops as you're holding the coil down, so it doesn't keep sliding around your base wire. And notice that what I'm doing is I'm kind of pushing it down. It looks like I poked myself a little there. I'm pushing it down and holding it. Okay, and you'll notice that I'm pushing it down and I'm holding it at the same time, applying a little pressure so that I'm getting a few more coils. And I use my fingernail to kind of push and wrap. And push and wrap. Now see, I've got a little bit more, and they're a little bit spaced out here. So again, you want to use your flat nose pliers, flat needle nose pliers to squish them to make a nice tight nice tight coil. I can still feel the little edge on that, and I'm gonna squeeze a little more just to make sure that's done. Okay, now I've got a little bit on here, and now what I want to do is use my round nose to create that first curl, and I go right to the tip of that and just give it a curl. Try not to squeeze too hard. You heard me slip a little bit there. And a curl. So you're starting that curl. And again, a little bit more. And a nice little curl there. And then what I'm going to do is just push that all the way down. And I'm going to keep going until I have wrapped a length. I'm going to pause here and have you, oh, sorry, I'm out of camera. Pause here and have you continue on wrapping and pushing down as you go along. I'm holding it here so it doesn't slip and keep winding around. Okay, so there you go. And again, as you go along, if you see there's a little gap, you want to push that down. You can use your pliers to do that, or your fingernails. And again, we want to create a bit of a curl there. Got some, until we get to a curl like this, right? Okay, and so I would say continue to do this until you get about, I like to go with centimeters here. So from here to the end, I say there's like 2 centimeters. I would do with the curl, it would be probably like 2.5. So let's pause here and keep going down and wrapping your coil till you get all the way to about 2.5 centimeters. And I'm going to pause. Okay, so keep going, and you notice it's not a very pretty coil shape at this point, but you're applying pressure to your coil, and you're pulling that with some tension and pushing kind of with your fingernail. I would caution you, if you're a beginner, one of the hard things that might happen is that you find that you overlap some of these coils. So you want these to be nice and snug, this wire nice and snug against each wrap, and not overlap it, and not to leave too much of a space. Okay, so let's take a look at this, and it looks like, let's see where we are with our measurement. That's still about 2 centimeters. We can do a few more wraps here, and trying to stay on camera, and you can go, it can go fairly quickly, but notice I'm putting pressure here, and I'm putting pressure with my wire wrap each time I go around, and that's going to give it a nice tight coil. Okay, so let's see where we are with that. That's about 2.5, and you don't have to be that exact. It's going to be up to you how you want to do this. Okay. Next, I'm going to take my round nose pliers and give it a gentle tug and a little bit of pressure there to make a smooth curve, because before it was kind of not very smooth, kind of angled, and so you want to make sure that you get that nice and pretty. And notice that I pushed my coiled wire not all the way to the end, but you know, give it a little bit of space. Now I want to give a little bit of a curve here, so I have a nice pretty shape to it, and you can see how that's coming about, right? You can come back. I noticed my new one that I'm showing for my demo is a little bit more open than the one that is on my sample. So you can do that however you'd like. There's a lot that's open to your taste. So I have that. Now I'm going to take my other wire, because I want to create a little swirl right in here. I'm going to take my other wire, and let's push this aside. And I'm going to start with my round nose pliers and kind of very gently grab the end here, but I want a big swirl. Okay, what I'm going to do is grab this, and I want to show you, I want a big swirl. I don't want a little small one like I did before on the tip. So I'm going to curl around using more of the base and twirl that around to make a smaller inner circle, and I go around a couple of loops to create a nice smooth swirl. And you can use you can use your pliers, you can use your hands, use your fingers to curl, to to make sure that you have even spacing from here to here and all the way around, right? So that kind of looks like this one. I might make it a little bit smaller. Make that swirl a bit smaller on the inside. Gotta grab that, not too tight. And then shape it. A lot of this is shaping, and some of it is shaping with your hands, with your tools, and making sure it's not flattened in some parts of your swirl, and making sure it's a little bit, you know, even. And I tend to be a little compulsive about making sure those are coming out just right. Okay, so I take that and bring back my other swirl. So I have the swirl inside the other swirl, so it creates it like this. And then I'm going to start in on my second weave. Remember I said there's 2 weaves patterns to this ring, and one is going to be the simple coil, and then the second one I'm going to call, you know, there's not a name for it, but I'm going to call it a 2-1 swirl. I kind of want to nest it in that little shape right there. So the 2-1 is, so you've got your wire here, your top wire, and you're going to just hold your 2 wires together here, and you're going to wrap around the back with this 2-1. So there's one around this base wire that you're adding, and then you're going to go over both of them, and then snug those together. Then you're going to go over singly over the top wire, and then all the way back over both of them, and that's your other one. So you've got a 1 over the base. Let's keep doing that again. 2 all together, and then 1 on the top. So you can see that you have a single over both, a single, single, and then over both. Now you have your single over your bottom base wire, single, and over both. Okay, now I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to scooch them together. It makes a lovely little pattern here, and squeeze them a little bit just to make sure they're, let me show you that closer. So you notice it's single, 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 double, single, single, double. So you're going to keep doing that. So if you're on the top like this, then you're going to go over the top wire, single, the bottom wire, single, and then both. Now I want these to squeeze together because I don't want them separated, and then over both. Okay, so you have, let's do that again, and you want to make sure that you don't twist your wires too much or bend them, your weaving wire. Okay, so let's make sure we're good here. Okay, between the 2 bottom base and top base, and I'm applying a little pressure so I'm going to have a nice tight weave pattern, and I'm holding it pretty firmly with my left hand. Okay, over single, single, and double. And what's interesting about this weave pattern is that I say single, single, double. What you're going to find is that when you do this single, single, I'm going a little faster here, and then double, it looks as if you're just creating this nice little pattern that's going single, single, double, right? The reality of it is if you flip it around, you're going to have the exact same pattern on the back. So it's going to be single, single, double. It's going to look like. So you're really doing the double over both wires on the back and the front, right? One each. Okay, so go over your top, single, and scooch it with your little fingers. Now, some people ask me, it shows what tools do you use when you make your, jewelry. And you can go to my website if you'd like to take a look at some of the other things that I've created. It's dtcsouthwestdesigns.com. And I'll tell those people when they say, well, what tools do you use to make, because I do some pretty intricate wire weaving. And basically I say, my pliers and my fingernails, and they're like, what? I said, that's it? That's all you use? So now see, it's a little bit loose here. You'll find that it can be loose. So you want to pull and make sure it's just nice and snug so that you have this very even, pretty weave pattern. So that's single, then double. And you're going to keep doing this. I'm going to go through this with you to just keep showing you what I'm doing. And you can slow the camera down if you want to take a look at it and see how that looks. And you're just going to keep doing this all the way around. Also, what I didn't show you as far as tools that I use that are optional, I have also a ring mandrel, so I can shape that ring around the mandrel to make it kind of roundish. It's adjustable, so you're not worried about it being too big or too little. But I have also a little rubber hammer to shape that, and we'll do that at the end, and I'll show you how that goes. Okay, so here we go, double. And you can pull these a little bit apart at this end, just so you got some space between them. So you're going between and single over the top, around in between, and single over the bottom, then over both. And then in between and single over the top, and single over the bottom, and then over both. Okay, so here you go. This is what you're coming up with. And you're going to be able to adjust this bottom part and this top part after we get done with it, and you can make some adjustments there. But why don't I pause right here, and you can keep going. And I would say you're going to need to curl this up. Just this top one is going to be, this bottom wire here is going to be just like this top one here. And this bottom wire here is, this top wire here is going to turn into this swirl here. So I'm going to pause it here, and I'm going to go on for another, say, let's say, another about 5 more centimeters. Let's say total of, let's do 6 centimeters total of your weave pattern, okay? So keep going, and I'll meet you at 6 centimeters. Okay, so we have about 6 centimeters, or about 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches of your beautiful weave pattern. And you might need to, as you go along, just sort of squeeze that pattern, or those 2 wires gently across, and that'll kind of firm your weave pattern and hold those 2 wires together in a really kind of a secure, neat place. Now, looks like I could go a little bit farther, but let's just try it out. So this is where you're going to start to shape your ring. So you're going to give it a little bit of a curve here, and then it's going to curl around. This is where your ring mandrel would come in handy. And you can use that if you'd like. If you don't have one, it's not necessary. And just kind of press it around that mandrel to, and I, you know, what do I have that on? That's probably, where is that? Where are my numbers? Here we go. Kind of scraped off from use. This is at about an 8, size 8. But we're still looking like we're new. We're at the beginning here. So I'm going to shape this out because I want this to come up a little higher, and I want this guy to scoot in a little bit more, and this I want to shape a little bit up here. I want this a little bit more to give me that swirl that I like. And we'll take a look at how that looks here. See? That's coming right along. This swirl is a little bit tighter, and so I can come back and shape that as I go along. As we see it here, I'm gonna need more than 6 centimeters of that to of the ring to continue. So, but you can see it's a really neat. Let me get you in focus here. A very neat, even pattern. If, as I said before, if you're a beginner and you're just starting out, you want to really make sure you don't overlap any of those that weave pattern and that wire, so it's nice and flat and smooth. So I'm going to pause again, and I'm going to go a little bit more, maybe let's say about another centimeter, so about 7 centimeters of the weave pattern. Okay, let's start up again. And as you can see, I've gone a little bit farther with this. And what we can do is, this looks about the length of this top part here. This looks about that length. But let's just start, let's move to the back wire, the top wire. And let's see if we can create a curl there. And we'll go from there. That'll help determine where we want to go with this. And so just gently press your curl. You're going to do a matching curl to this one on this other side. This is your longer wire. Just take that and create your curl, just shaping around. Obviously it's a much bigger curl than your needle nose round wires, and so you want to shape it as best you can. This looks a little flat here, so I'm gonna try to give it a bit of a curl and make sure it's not so flat. So it curls it around with some lint on my tape. The tape's gonna gather that. So I'm going to create that curl just like the one on the other side and shape it around, make it swirl, come down and come around like that. And then let's press your little ring so it becomes even there. I can give it a little bit more, looks like, and create that curl. Just like that. And then notice that there's a curve here, so I want to give it a bit of a curve there, right? And then give it a curve there. Shape that all the way around. It's a little bit flat, so let's give it a curl there. And shape that around. And let's see how that looks. Okay, so it looks like it's kind of even. The wave starts here and the wave starts there. And so I think I'm pretty happy with that. And again, shape it a little bit so it's round. Like I said, you can get your mandrel and do that as well. But if I'm happy with that as far as it goes, that's what I like. And then I'll finish the rest of this off with that same single coil wrap around here. So I've got, if you want to take a look here, let's look a little closer. You'll see I've got my single, single, double, single, single, double all the way around. And then I'm just going to go around that other wire, the shorter one, and just again, just wrap that coil, push it in with your little fingernails. If you don't have very strong fingernails, you can use your pliers. Make it a nice tight coil and push it down. And you can pause and take your time with this. I'm going a little fast so that we don't have too long of a video. And actually what I'll do is I'll just pause and come meet me back. Go up to about right here, because you've got a little curl there with your coil. Okay, so I've done my coil and I've left about, I'd say about, looks like about half a centimeter or 5 millimeters. And I'm going to cut that weaving wire. Let me get back on film here. I'm going to cut that weaving wire fairly close and then take my flat needle nose pliers and kind of just curl around just to make that knot nice and smooth. And I like to just feel to make sure I don't have a little piece sticking out. Okay, so there you go with that. We've got our length here, and I'm going to be curling in the opposite direction from this one, right? So that if you take a look here, you'll see that's what you're getting. Okay, so you're going to take this and you're going to curl this swirl in the opposite direction of this guy here. Tip of your wire and make a little curl there. And just continue your pressure so the whole thing, including your coil, curls. And I'm going to bend it. I'm going to bend it to match that coil, the round swirl on the other side. But I'm going to give it more of a curl here because I like that swirl like that. I bend it, shape it to be, bring this little guy down, and bend it and shape it. So it makes this little nice little swirl like at the top on that side, right? Just like that. Shape it as you like it. There we go. I like that. And then I'm going to go back here and shape this guy. And there you go. It's starting to look just like we want it to. Okay, so I can shape that and put that on my mandrel. And shape it a little. And I can go around and make that a little bit more. I do like to take my rubber hammer and just give it a little bit of a tap so that when I look at it, from the side, it looks shaped, it's even, and it matches. Okay, top and bottom match each other. And then, like I said, you can tighten these little swirls. The big swirls, you can loosen up your little swirl a little, shape it a little bit more, make it go to the way, make it go the way you want it to go, right? And that's it. That's pretty much how we make that swirl ring. If you like this, I'm going to make create some other videos of bracelets that's quite popular and kind of matches this. And like I said, if you want to go look at my website, I have dtcsouthwestdesigns.com. You can go take a look at it there. And thank you. If you'd like it, hit like. And if you want to follow me, hit subscribe. Bye-bye.